Welcome to the UNCP Compliance Module. This presentation will address several important compliance topics that are very relevant for UNCP. The purpose of this module is to refresh your knowledge on items that will help reduce overall risk to the university. This module will touch on the basics for IT security, FERPA, the Public Records Act, and contract authority. Education is key when it comes to IT security and protecting yours and the university's data. The number one cause of all security breaches is compromised credentials. This means that another person has gained access to your university-related username and password. How? There are a number of ways your credentials can be compromised. You may be tricked into handing over important information through phishing or spoofing, or your computer may be infected with malware that can record and send keystrokes to the attacker without your knowledge. We will define phishing, spoofing, and malware in just a moment. The number one threat vector to be aware of is email. Attackers are using very clever, convincing, and sophisticated messages to trick us. Phishing and spoofing emails both have the same purpose, and that is to fool us. A phishing message is cleverly designed so that its content looks so convincing that it tricks us into downloading malicious software or into handing over important information such as usernames, passwords, banking, credit card, or other personal information. A spoofing message is a little different in that it is designed to fool us into believe the message is from someone we trust or someone higher in the chain of command. We believe we're being helpful or following orders when we provide sensitive information or unknowingly click on a malicious link. The term malware is short for malicious software, and it is software that is designed to silently infiltrate and damage computers without us knowing. Malware is the general term that covers all the different types of threats to computer safety, such as ransomware, malicious websites, viruses, spyware, worms, trojans, and so on. If you suspect your credentials have been compromised, or you have received a suspicious email, or think your computer may be infected, please contact the help desk right away. How can you protect yourself and the university? Well, use safe password practices. Always use a complex password that is longer than 8 characters, uses numbers and special characters. Never give your password away. DoIT will never ask you for your password, so you should be very suspicious if someone asks you for it. Do not reuse the same password and always use a form of multi-factor authentication. This is also known as two-factor authentication and requires you to provide some type of further proof that you are the legitimate account holder by using a device that is in your possession. With multi-factor authentication enabled, even if your credentials are compromised, the attacker cannot log in without the additional security step. Always be suspicious of clicking on links and visiting websites. You never know where malware is lurking. Think before you click and always hover your mouse over the link to see what the real address is. If you are not 100% sure, don't click. UNCP security tools are very effective in spotting and preventing malware, but no security program is 100% effective. UNCP emails are now tagged with a label that says external in the subject line. This lets us know that the message is coming from somewhere other than UNCP. This also helps us to know when the message may be spoofed. If you see a message that has the external tag, you should use an extra amount of caution before proceeding to trust the content of the email. University-provided computers are protected with anti-malware software and other security tools. However, you can install one of these tools on your home computer. Advanced Malware Protection, or AMP, is available for free for UNCP employees to install on their home computers. You can find it once you log into braveweb.uncp.edu. Always keep at least one backup of your data in a safe location. The cloud has multiple safe offerings for storing large amounts of data, such as Microsoft OneDrive, Google Drive, and many others. Using a thumb drive or external hard drive is also a good option, but the main advantage of cloud storage is that the data is always backed up when you use reputable companies. Never feel safe. Cyber criminals are always looking for new attack methods, and they do not discriminate. The next important compliance item to discuss is FERPA. FERPA stands for the Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act and is a federal law that protects the privacy of students' educational records and gives students certain rights over their information. They have the right to inspect and review their academic records, correct mistakes, and have some control over the disclosure of their academic records. Some student information is protected and cannot be disclosed to a third party without the student's written permission. This protected data is considered sensitive information and includes the following: Social Security or student ID number, gender, ethnicity, date of birth or age, religious preference, class schedule, grades, grade point average or quality point average, and student papers. It is important to note that student papers cannot be disclosed except in the case where the writing reveals the intent to harm oneself or others. In that case, a university administrator must be contacted immediately. Some student information is not protected by default and can be disclosed to a third party unless the student specifically requests that it be protected. This data is called directory information and includes the following: name, address, telephone number, email address, major field of study, dates of attendance, previous schools attended, degrees awarded received, sports or other activity participation, and the height and weight of student athletes. The registrar is the legal custodian of student records, so please be sure to reach out to the registrar's office if you have any questions about disclosure of student records. The next compliance item to be aware of is related to public records requests. The Public Records Act defines what a public record is and who has the right to obtain a copy of that information. Public agencies have an obligation to provide copies of public records. Public records are the property of the people. Who can request public records? This one may be surprising, but anyone can request public records. The request does not have to be in writing, and the requester does not have to be identified. A requester doesn't even have to be a citizen. What is considered a public record? Any record that is created or received in connection with the transaction of public business is considered to be a public record. This includes paper, electronics records, recordings, films, videos, photographs, and more. There are some exceptions, such as confidential records, that are prohibited from being released, like personnel files or trade secret. Is a document considered public simply because it was created on a university or government computer? No, as long as it does not involve the transaction of public business. Is a document considered not public because it was created or received on a public resource? No. Records related to the transaction of public business are public, even if they are created using private resources. How soon does an agency have to comply with a public records request? There is no specific time frame, but the law states that it shall be done as promptly as possible. Please contact the Office of the General Counsel for guidance should you receive a request for records or information. The last important compliance topic to touch on is contract authority. The university conducts lots of transactions to purchase products and services. Whenever these products or services involves terms and conditions or any verbiage that binds the university to a liability, a contract must be signed. Who has the authority to sign contracts for the university? Only certain university administrative officers have authority to sign contracts involving the commitment of the financial, academic, and physical resources of the university. The chancellor has the ultimate authority to sign contracts, and the authority also has been delegated to other administrative officers such as vice chancellors and certain directors. Other administrators can be delegated signing authority when the policy allows. What is UNCP's process for signing a contract? All contracts, except for small purchases, must be reviewed and approved by the Director of Purchasing. Supervisors requesting a contract review should have already reviewed the contract before submitting it to the Purchasing Director. If the contract relates to information technology, the Director of Purchasing will require the contract to be reviewed by the Chief Information Officer or their designee to assess potential data security risks. In addition, the Purchasing Director works closely with the Office of the General Counsel to review contracts from a legal perspective. There are many factors that must be considered and understood before obligating the university to an agreement, and therefore the number of employees delegated to authority to sign contracts is limited. It is very important to understand that if you sign a contract for which you were not given authority, you may be personally liable. If you need a contract signed, you should notify your supervisor and contact the purchasing department for guidance. Thank you for completing this compliance module refresher, in which we touched on the topics of IT security, FERPA, public records, and contract authority. We hope that your informed status on these important topics will help reduce overall risk to the university. Please click the link below to access a short quiz on compliance topics. By completing the quiz, we will better understand the effectiveness of this module. Thank you. Which of the following is fishing? Using a rod, line, and hook to catch a variety of fish species? Or B, sending a cleverly designed email with legitimate-looking content to fool someone into submitting sensitive information or to click on a malicious link? C, sending a cleverly designed email that fools someone into believing the message is from someone they know or trust? True or false? Is it totally safe to click on a link in an email that has an external tag in the subject line? False. Under FERPA, is it okay to send a student's date of birth, gender, and GPA to a third party without the student's consent because it is considered directory information? False. A spreadsheet containing the salaries of all UNCP EHRA employees created on a university laptop is considered a public record. True. Any employee has the right to sign a contract that commits the resources of the university. False.